Seeing that the rich girl's high heels were dirty, the maid respectfully knelt on the ground and licked the surface of the shoes clean with her own tongue. Her actions made the rich girl very happy, and she immediately threw $10,000 in cash onto the floor as a reward for the maid. Unexpectedly, the maid picked up the money and handed it back to the rich girl. The rich girl laughed and praised the maid as an obedient and sensible dog. The maid wasn't angry either, but instead said it was her honor to be the rich girl's dog. But once the rich girl left, the maid immediately revealed a vicious expression. Back in her room, she opened the wardrobe to reveal a wall covered in photos. In the photos were the rich girl and her CEO father. Both of their faces had been crossed out with red marker. The maid swore a hateful oath, vowing that she would make the rich girl pay the price she deserved, and the CEO father of the girl would be the first pawn in her path of revenge. It turned out the maid had once been a single mother and had lived happily with her daughter. But one day, her daughter, who had just been admitted to college, suddenly sent a text message containing her final words. Moments later, the maid witnessed her daughter jumping to her death. Just because her daughter had exchanged a few words with a boy the rich girl liked, the rich girl led others to bully her. Afterward, she escaped any punishment because of her powerful family background. So the maid went undercover, working by the rich girl's side, determined to take revenge for her daughter by her own hand. And the first step of her revenge was to attract the attention of the CEO. The CEO had lost his wife in middle age, but he was never short of beautiful women around him. So the maid purposely painted black spots on her face and wore glasses to create a contrast that would intrigue and seduce the CEO. When the CEO came home from work, the maid pretended to accidentally fall down the stairs and fell directly into the CEO's arms. Her glasses also fell to the floor. The maid quickly stood up straight, bowed her head, and apologized to the CEO. The CEO did have some impression of the maid because the rich girl often praised the maid as being very much to her liking. At that moment, the rich girl appeared, and the CEO introduced his new girlfriend to her. The new girlfriend, trying to please her, even brought a carefully chosen gift, but the rich girl coldly told her that no woman had ever lasted a full month by the CEO's side. Then she told the maid to attend to her bath. As she left, the CEO picked up the glasses from the floor and looked at the maid. The maid knew the big fish had finally taken the bait. While she was giving the rich girl a massage, the girl started chatting on the phone with a friend about the dead daughter, mocking, "People like her, with no money or power, what's the use of even getting into a top university?" Remembering the tragic death, the maid couldn't help but pinch the rich girl too hard. Realizing what she had done, she immediately knelt down and apologized. She slapped herself hard several times, but silently vowed in her heart that she would make the rich girl be isolated and hated while alive, and repent in hell after death for her sins. The next day, as soon as the maid started work, she saw the rich girl throwing a tantrum, yelling at a young servant, and smashing a teacup on her forehead, drawing blood. The maid quickly knelt to calm the rich girl's emotions, then brought ointment to tend to the servant's wound. She used the chance to ask about the CEO's preferences. From the servant, she learned that the CEO swims at home every Wednesday evening. The maid instantly realized this was a great chance to get close to him, so she secretly drugged the tea meant for the servant, watched her drink it, then returned to her room to change into pajamas and prepare herself. Soon, the medicine took effect, and the maid was begged to take her place. The maid brought the fruit tray to the pool, and her attractive figure did catch the CEO's eye. At that moment, she pretended to slip and fell into the pool. The CEO immediately swam over and held her in his arms. He then noticed that the black spot on her face was gone. The maid had already prepared an excuse. She told the CEO that after her husband died, she was constantly harassed, so she had no choice but to hide her appearance. Then she used the excuse of not knowing how to swim to get the CEO to carry her back to the edge. After retrieving her phone from the water, the maid turned and walked away. Surprisingly, the CEO felt puzzled. With such a good opportunity, the maid didn't even try to make a move, but in fact, this was all part of the maid's plan. Too many women were chasing after the CEO. If she wasn't different, how could she leave a lasting impression? Sure enough, the CEO kept thinking about the maid even after he got back to his room. Even the next morning at breakfast, he noticed the maid wasn't around. He asked the butler if the maid had taken the day off. At that moment, the maid was pretending to have a cold and fever to get a day of rest. When it it was nearly 11 and the CEO was on his way home, she wet her body with water and deliberately left the door open so the CEO would see her lying in bed as he walked by. Sure enough, the CEO stopped and walked into the room. When the maid saw him, she let out a few weak coughs. The CEO wanted to get the family doctor to examine her, but the maid grabbed his hand and refused. The CEO was about to say something more, but the maid's coughing grew worse, and she collapsed into his arms. The CEO looked at the alluring maid and finally couldn't resist reaching out his hand.